Good evening and welcome to the Great James Madison High School zoning case meeting, community meeting. I would like to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening, and also to Jackie and her department. Working with Jackie has been a pleasure, and thank you for reaching out to us and for setting this up for us. I do want to acknowledge that I do have some of the my favorite people from the Great James Madison High School who's involved with us with this, Marcus Gates, Marcus Johnson, and Damian Mobley, the coach. So I'm just going to say welcome and thank you all for coming. And at this time, I hope that all of the questions that you need to ask, you will place them in the chat box so that we can answer those questions. And also, once we complete, I would turn it over back over to Jackie. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Baldwin. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Principal Willard. I appreciate it. Hi, my name is Rob Baldwin. I am a planning and zoning consultant, and I'm working with DISD, helping them navigate city approval processes. In this case, we're here to talk about Madison High School. The zoning for the property, we're doing an expansion to add a competition gym and some locker rooms. And that is requiring us to amend our development plan to address the expansion. And I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but this is the existing layout of the school. This is the old Peabody Street that goes behind the school, but is no longer open as a street. The new gym will be shown, will be built right in here in the gray box area. And it'll be a 2-story addition. It will also serve as a storm shelter and have room for every student in the school to be brought into the gym should a storm arise. Particularly, what we're doing is adding a new locker room, a gym and a storm shelter with new locker rooms for both men and women and a new weight room. Addition, we're building a new parking lot on Meadow, right there by MLK, where the tennis courts are. One of the tennis courts will be moved adjacent to the second one, so we'll still have 2 tennis courts, but there will also be new there. We're going to renovate the existing building to put on a new roof, add a new HVA system, and remove the window units, modernize everything. We're going to install security cameras. We're going to weatherproof the building and clean and repair the facade. So it's getting a full makeover and the addition of the new competition gym, locker rooms, and storm shelter. Again, the new gym will be in this area, the new parking up here in the top left corner of the property. So I'll get a little technical here on the zoning. So in the city of Dallas, schools are mostly in what they call planned development districts, what are specific zoning just for that school and the property. Part of that zoning includes a development plan or a site plan that shows exactly what can be built on the property. In this case, we have to amend the site plan to show the new gym expansion, which is requiring the rezoning process. Now, the rezoning process is a 2-stage process. We turn in the application. It is reviewed by city staff, who then makes a recommendation to the City Plan Commission. The City Plan Commission will hold a public hearing where anybody can come speak for or against the project and have their voices heard. Right now, we think that Plan Commission meeting will be in July 20th, but that date has not been set just yet. Once City Plan Commission hears it, they will make a recommendation to the City Council, who will hold the final hearing, again, a public hearing where anybody can participate, and then hopefully approve the rezoning so we can then file our building permits and build the new gym. So I suspect that this will be done. Hopefully we'll finish navigating the process in September, and then the building can start after that. So here's a blow up of what the proposed is. You can see this is the ground level floor. You can see that they're going to be reconfiguring the band hall, training rooms, everything in green is new. So we have football lockers up here, the new competition gym, uh, some basketball locker rooms, a new lobby, a visitor's restroom. On the second floor, there'll be a women's locker room, a new weight room, and offices for the coaches, and then the gymnasium down on the ground floor. So that is the process, and this is what we're proposing to do. It's, I think it's very exciting, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the school to have such a nice gym and locker rooms and a weight room. Part of the rezoning process requires us to do what they call a traffic management plan. Now, a traffic management plan is done by a professional traffic engineer, and the traffic engineer sets forth how students will get to the school and how they'll be picked up and where they will park. This is an official document that gets approved with the zoning and gets updated every 2 years to make sure that it works. This shows that there'll be parking and queuing around the school like they do it today on Meadow, Pennsylvania, and Myers. The school buses will continue to pick up and drop off on MLK, and then with parents dropping students off, they'll come into the staff parking lot as shown down here in the solid blue line. They'll come off of Myers Street and then exit onto MLK. Again, this is has to be updated every 2 years, and if tweaks need to be done to make sure that the traffic flows properly and it doesn't affect neighbors, those will be done every time it gets updated. So that is my brief presentation. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on zoning, the process, the contents, or the timing, or any other questions you may have. With that, I can turn it back over to Principal Willard.
Okay, right now in the box, thank you, Mr. Baldwin, and thank you for a great presentation. Right now in my chat box, I do not have any questions. Let me see. I know that Mr. Henry is on the call with us, my board of trustee for District 9, and I know that he is on the phone, but I would like for you just to say hello. If you would just unmute him for me, Jackie, I cannot let him go by without speaking. Okay, Mr. Henry, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, I'm not sure if you all can see me. Hopefully you can hear me. Principal Willard, can you hear me?
Yes, and see you.
Oh, you can see me too. Okay, good.
Yes.
So I'm at a family function, but I definitely want to be a part of this call. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this call. I'm very excited about this. Proud of what we'll see. I think it's long overdue, so it's time to get the dirt moving and everything else moving. I know you talked about the issues at the city and the zoning, and if you could let us know in the community in regards to anything we need to do, emailing council folks or their appointees on that commission or showing up at those events, whatever we can do to make sure we move this along as quickly as possible so we can move the dirt. But I'm excited about this. I appreciate the small amount of time to speak. Looking forward to what it looks like on the back end of the great James Madison. We actually have a competition gym that this school and community and kids deserve.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we have a question. Was Madison included in the next bond program for more renovations? That's part one. Okay. Okay, and our school is in the dire need of upgrading and parking lot spaces for staff and students. Will that be a part of the next bond election? And then another question was, okay, Don and Sherry, are you on the call? And if so, can you answer these? Okay, I got you. All right. What is the timeline for the renovation? That's a question that I have. Okay. Don, is Don on the call? I guess Don is not on the call.
John's on the call, but he's muted.
Okay. Jackie, can you unmute Don for me, please, so that Don can answer the question in reference to the timeline?
I'm sorry, this is Don Smith. The
Hi,
time on Madison is going to be approximately 12 to 14 months, and from the start of the notice to proceed. So once we get that, then we'll start our construction, and I think that we'll be very blessed with that timeline. So anyway, any other questions you may have with that, just let me know.
Okay. So you're saying the timeline will begin after September when Mr. Baldwin then received the information from the city?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Once we bid this, then get a notice to proceed to the general contractor to be 12 to 14 months after that point.
Okay. So prior to that, are you going to be meeting with the campus so that we can see how we will lay it out and the movement around for the campus for the students?
Yes, ma'am. The design team will be involved in that part. And then once it's handed over to us for construction, yes, ma'am, we will continue meeting with you and your staff for any questions or issues that you may have during that time.
Okay. One other question, Don. Can you talk a little bit about the 2020 bond, the information there?
Now that, I don't have that much information on that, but I can find that information for you and get back to you.
Okay. All right.
Well, Willard, if I can hop in real quick, this is Trustee Henry.
Yes,
a lot
please.
of trustees have been requesting a school-by-school breakdown of this potential 2020 bond. I received a message from my committee appointee yesterday that he's received that, so I haven't followed up with him. But if he has in fact received that, I will forward it to you to see what schools are being targeted in that 2020 bond. So that's all the information I have on that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. On next Tuesday, June the 16th, we will have another meeting, community meeting, and we're going to ask that all of you all please join us at that time. And at that time, we will be talking about much more about the design for the campus. So we'll be talking about the design of the campus and how it's going to look, what it's going to look like. And that's going to be Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and it is a virtual meeting. Okay, question. What is the zoning process and how can the community help with that? And I guess I'm gonna address that to Mr. Baldwin. Can you answer that for me, please?
Sure can. So the zoning process is a public process that requires 2 public hearings. In addition, all property owners within 500 feet of the property will get a letter from the city on 2 different occasions. Once about a week before the City Plan Commission and once about a week before the City Council meeting. And those letters will say, do you support the request or do you oppose the request? If you support the request, I would ask that you send in a letter. They give you a form to check that you support it. I would ask that you send that in. I would also ask that if you support this, to contact your city council member and let him know that you support it. And I can also give you the contact information for Timothy Jackson, who is Councilmember Baladuz's city plan commissioner. And we can post that with his email address where you can write in and say that you support the request. I'm also, if you have any specific questions about the zoning, I will be happy to answer that.
Okay. All right. Another question. Let me just give you guys the website. If you have any questions, we would like for you to place them, write them down in the chat box. But I'm gonna give you and email them to this email address, please. www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 questions. Excuse me, I'm sorry. 2015. And it is in the chat. I will place it in the chat box so you will have that. Next question. Will there be any upgrades to the infrastructure of the school?
And the answer is yes on that, Principal. And we'll discuss more of those upgrades next week in next week's presentation.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Jeff. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you, Principal.
Okay. All right. I have no more questions in the box. I'm looking, trying to make sure, I'm scanning to make sure I don't have any more questions. Okay. Can you, I'm sorry, y'all, I sent out an email for teachers today, and so they're calling this evening, trying to recruit teachers. Okay, I don't have any more questions. Jackie? Okay, Robert, do you mind giving us an update, a repeat of the presentation for the people who came in late with us?
Sure, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
My name is Rob Baldwin. I'm a city planning consultant, and I work with DISD on navigating city approval processes. In this case, we're doing a rezoning request to amend our planned development district to allow for the expansion of the school, to allow for a new competition gym and storm shelter and locker rooms, and I'll detail in just a second. This is a public process. The zoning case number shown here, it's Z189352. We expect to go to City Plan Commission next month, the 20th of July, although that date's not set in stone yet. And after that, about a month later, we will go to City Council, probably in early September. So this is the current aerial of the school. The new competition gym will be built between the existing school and the track, right here where old Peabody Street used to be. And specifically, we're adding a competition gym and storm shelter at the rear of the building, which will also include new locker rooms for men and women and a new weight room. In addition, we'll be building a new parking lot on Meadow and reconfiguring the tennis courts. We're going to renovate the existing building to put on a new roof, add new heating and air conditioning systems, and remove the existing window units. We're going to install security cameras, weatherproof the building, and clean and repair the facade. This is the copy of the development plan that we're amending. As you can see in the gray hatch area, this is where the new gym will be. And then the new parking areas is over here right on Meadow Street at MLK. And the tennis courts the tennis court that was here will be moved next to the existing tennis court. This is a layout of the proposed gym, locker rooms, and this is the ground floor. In more detail, we'll get into much more detail on this in the meeting next week. In the second floor, there'll be a new weight room and new women's locker rooms and offices for coaches. Along with the rezoning, we have to do what they call a traffic management plan, or a TMP. And this traffic management plan is prepared by a professional transportation engineer, and it gets reviewed and approved with the zoning and then updated every 2 years. The purpose of this plan is to dictate how cars will circulate the site to drop people off and pick people up to students, show people where parents can park when they drop off their students, and where the buses will be. As you can see over here, the buses will continue to pick up and drop off on MLK. Parents will circulate around Meadow Street, Pennsylvania, and Myers. And then they'll actually get into the staff parking lot to drop the students off so they're out of the traffic, then leave on MLK. Again, this gets updated every 2 years. So if for some reason it's not working properly, it can be fine-tuned and upgraded again in 2 years. So that's the zoning process. Like I said previously, all property owners within 500 feet of the school grounds will get a letter from the city telling them there's an upcoming meeting with the City Plan Commission, telling them how they can participate and asking whether they support the request or not. After the City Plan Commission, they will make a recommendation to the City Council, will hold a meeting about 30 days after the City Plan Commission will make a final approval of the rezoning. And then we can file for building permits and get started on construction. So I hope that was helpful. I'm happy to help any way I can.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Baldwin, for going back over that with us and for the people who joined us at later. So let me just say this. First of all, I do want to say thank you again for everyone taking the time to come into this community meeting for us tonight, the zoning meeting for tonight. I really appreciate that because it's very important for the students and the community to see such a beautiful project here at the Great James Madison High School. All people whose hands involved in it, we really want to say thank you and thanks for looking out for that community because this is something that we need in our community, something that is fabulous, something that's going to make the kids want to come back to the Dallas Independent School District and come back home, come back to their campuses. So thank you for that. Any questions that you have, I am going to ask that you please send them again to www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meeting. So we will make sure that you all have your questions will be answered and will be posted so that you can see the answers from that. Also, I'm going to remind you again on June 16th, 2020 at 7:00 p.m., we will have another virtual meeting and we would like for you all to join us at that time. We will send something out to remind you, but please be here with us because the community working together will stay together and we can make this project come to fruition. If you all don't have any more questions, then I'm going to say once again, thank you and have a blessed evening.